Welcome back to the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Ray Guo. We will continue our conversation with Mr. Ling Jiayu, who is the Director General of the Department of Investment Services at the Ministry of Economic Affairs here in Taiwan. Director General, what are some of the, usually, that you will employ the tactics or the convincing points to try to persuade foreign investors to come into Taiwan and invest? And what are some of the strategic advantages that Taiwan has in terms of attracting foreign investments?
Yes, there are 8 points.
Good.
It's our department to convince those investors.
Yes.
The first one is a logistic hub for Asia Pacific region.
Yes.
The second point is the best platform for expanding to the mainland China.
Okay.
The third one is dense industrial clustering.
Okay.
The fourth is excellence in human resources.
Indeed.
5 is the excellent in innovative capacity. 6 is well-developed infrastructure. And the 7, the sound rule of law.
Okay.
Last but not least, abundant capital flow.
Okay, in Taiwan. Yeah. So these are the major points that you would convince to the overseas investors when they make the decisions to come into Taiwan and invest. And so far, which countries or areas around the world do most of the investors come into Taiwan? Will come from, like, maybe North America, or is it going to be European? And we'll also talk earlier about the Japanese investments in Taiwan. They had the colonial history here on the island. Certainly the Japanese investment would be very important. Okay, please, Director General.
Accumulate figure, the investors around the world is 106 billion US dollars. The first coming from is the USA.
Yes.
Which shares 20% of the total investment. Second is Netherlands, and the third one is British dependency in the Caribbean, like Cayman Island or the Virgin Islands. Yes, the number 4 is the Japan, and the number 5 is the British itself.
So go ahead.
For this year's, so far we have 3.7 billions, and the number 1 investors is from British. It shares 25%. And the Caribbean shares 23%, and the Netherlands shares 18%. And from Hong Kong is a figure 260 million and shares 7%. And number 5 is Japan. Is share 5.7%.
We can see the pattern of investment, foreign investment into Taiwan, has somewhat changed a little bit. Last year, maybe because of the global financial crisis, we see the United States has dropped off, the top 5, but certainly places like British, the Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, they still a very important source of foreign investment into Taiwan. But that must lead to some external suspicion or speculation that some of these investments may be coming from our Taiwanese investors who are doing business on the mainland. But Director General, you mentioned earlier, 2010, the year 2010, is going to be a very important year for our economic relations with mainland China, especially with the proposed Economic Cooperation Framework Agreement, ECFA. We'll hope that we can get it signed in the year 2010. When that is signed, as you mentioned, the trade barriers will come down, the customs will be almost eliminated for certain industries. Would you then expect the investments from mainland China, from Hong Kong, will increase coming to Taiwan starting in the year 2010?
Yes, definitely. And we just launched our, we eliminate the barrier for investors from China starting from June 30 this year. And the figure, because it's only 5 months, and the item they can invest only 192.
Yes.
It's very limited. So the figure so far is 100 millions, so and so. But we have the confidence for next year. We fix our goal is 100 million US dollars. That's for next year target.
Okay. For the year 2010.
Yes.
Okay. We understand that maybe for the last 10 or 15 years, a very important topic among the academics in Taiwan and elsewhere around the world is on the issue of the rise of China. Now, we understand the rise of China has been the number one concern for a lot of countries around the world, and also that's very important for us. And given the fact that the Chinese economy is now at least one of the top 3 in the world, and the Chinese market has also become the number 1 export destination for our economy.
Yes.
Then do you expect that in the future that foreign investors will continue to pay a lot of attention to the greater China market, to the economic relations between China and Taiwan, and also look at Taiwan as a perfect gateway, the entrance into the Chinese market? Do you think that trend will continue in the future?
Yes. I'm very confident about what you said. The Ministry of Economic Affairs start the 搭桥计划,
Yes.
we can say the bridging project, since this year, the early beginning of this year.
Okay.
And a lot category being practiced in this year. And the government built up this bridge and let private sector to play or shake hands with Chinese enterprises on the bridge. And this bridge, in the other hand, we share with international investors, say, hey, there is a bridge to participate the Chinese market, mainland China market. Please join with us and play with us. That's exactly the great gateway to China market. Yes.
And also we have seen that there's some vertical integration between the industries, between the two sides already taking place, although, it's taking place very slowly. One area that comes to mind is in the automobile industry. It becomes a perfect match. Well, when the two sides, can come together, the manufacturers can come together. Like you said, it's the 搭桥, the bridging, example of the two industries, two sectors coming together. Do you see other industries in the near future will have the same impact? For example, maybe in the alternative energy area, like you mentioned, like solar or LED. Do you see that happening in the near future?
Yes. Not only we say high tech, we also very focusing traditional industry, like textile.
Oh, yes.
Because Taiwan have a very innovative products of the microfiber, those kind products, and as well as the design. The Taiwan design can play a key role for mainland China's businessmen. So they very like to shake hand with our industry in this supply chain. We can say the supply chain, this cooperation.
And we understand that also we have a lot of Taiwanese investors and businesses who like to invest in other places. Over the last 15 or 20 years, it might have been mainland China as the top destination for many businesses. Other than mainland China, what other areas or countries have our domestic businesses have been investing in their countries? For example, in the U.S. or Japan or Southeast Asia, are those places that our government will encourage them, the Taiwanese businesses, to invest in and what kinds of services will we offer them?
Yes. Back to last 2 decades,
Yes.
Taiwanese invest in Asia Pacific, like Southeast
Yes.
Asia,
Yes.
which are Indonesia,
Yeah.
Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, what they focus. So those Taiwanese investment always share the number 1 or the number 2 investors in those countries.
Exactly. Okay. Yes. So, and we would like to see them further diversify with the signing of ECFA, I suppose, because now that would lower or eliminate custom tariffs altogether.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's we encourage them to back to Taiwan and invest Taiwan in the innovation, and as well as they can issue the TDR in Taiwan
stock market.
Stock markets.
Yes.
And not only issue TDR, after TDR issued, I will encourage them to invest in Taiwan for R&D.
Yes, that's very, very important. And we're going to take another break, and we'll be right back to Taiwan Outlook, and we will continue our conversation with Mr. Ling Jiayu, who is the Director General of the Department of Investment Services at the Ministry of Economic Affairs. We'll be back.